Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. You either make excuses or you choose to level up. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. Woo! Woo! Brandon Britton here.
Appreciate you having me here today, man.
It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today.
Jeff and I are like friends. We're real friends.
We are And so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it.
It all comes down to your why. Your business, why are you doing it? How is it going to change the world and what's it going to do for your family?
I want you to celebrate your success.
Talk about the struggle. But I promise you, the story is in your struggle.
They'll never be able to say that about me because people only see me working hard in anything that I'm doing whenever they see me.
Focused on your success and the success of those around you.
But being that constant in your community, good or bad, whether things are great in the community, bad in the community, who's steady?
Unapologetically do business and life on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. And we discuss how they do it and the big ticket methods they use. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms.
In and of itself, the only limitations that we really have on ourselves is the ones that we allow to be put on ourselves. And most people don't look at it in that perspective.
There's nothing wrong with being humble, but there's also nothing wrong with stepping into your superpower and letting people know who you are.
Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. All right, it's good to be back. It's good to be back in this studio recording the Big Ticket Life with you. It's funny, when my guest Ken Attard, welcome to the show. When we, I guess when the universe realizes that Jeff and Ken want to put a show together, it throws some curveballs my way. The first time I blew out my elbow helping family move some stuff when my grandfather had passed, and I had to postpone the show. And today I stand with you. We live cast our show. We live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So if you're catching this on audio, I'm saying show intentionally because it is a show. You should always check out the video. But standing here, I got the ice machine, cold water therapy ice machine hooked to my leg, the low screen. And as we're doing the show downstairs, we have my son accidentally flooded the first floor, and the whole first floor is getting ripped out. The basement's ripped out. So we're having a grand old time. But Ken and I said, screw it. We're going to go ahead and do the show anyway. So Ken Attard, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here. I just love the persistence to go ahead with the show, right? So right. Yeah, well, we've had a few challenges to get here, but we are here. So that's the most important thing.
That's right. It's just really funny how that works out. But you can choose to think about it negatively, I guess, or you can choose to say, the universe is giving me something, and I'm going to step up and answer the call. That's the way I look at it, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things a foundational thing for me is that I like to tell people and I like to inform them that everything that you're talking about, the universe, it's all working out for you. So it's always working out in your favor. So right now, this may appear to be something that is not good, and I can understand that. But in some aspect, somewhere along the line, it is working out for you. So you may discover why later on. So we'll follow it up and see what comes out of this.
I have a little insight into that, and then we're going to dig into the show and why I called this episode the inside lane to success. As I was doing my rehab early on from the knee replacement operation, I'm walking around the house with my walker, and right at the front door, the back foot of the walker picks up a piece of transition trim from the hardwood to the carpet in the front room where my office is, and I pick up half of it and break it and rip it. And, it's like, well, that's going to be a really involved repair the way I broke it. Well, that's something to put on the list. We'll get it taken care of. Well, there we go. It's getting
There you
taken
go.
care of in a much bigger way, but it's getting taken care of.
In a big way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
So anyhow, so I want to talk about mindset, because really mindset is, it is that inside lane. It is that fast track if you embrace it. Positive mindset. And told folks who was like, I don't need that stuff. That's woo woo. I'm not somebody that ever deals with anything negative, and if I do, I can just brush it off and it doesn't affect me. And I fought the hard way for years. You touched on, it doesn't happen to us. Well, I'm saying this, it doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. You had said it happens for us. I'm a big believer in that these last handful of years. So I'm sure I'm not the only one. Please let me not be the only one that's ever said, I don't need that woo-woo mindset stuff. I'm a tough guy. What do you say to that? And how do you refocus people that want to fight against this tackling your mind really is an asset. It is a skill. What do you say to folks like that?
And what I say is this, and there's a couple of things. There's something that I like to call the triple U syndrome, which is the U being the letter U. And it ties in nicely with what you're talking about here. Is this, it's amazing how most people, most individuals, most entrepreneurs have heard about mindset. Like you're saying, like people have heard either listened to a podcast, listened to a speaker, potentially read a book, and in one way or another have heard about mindset. Yet, for some reason, they'll start to dabble into it for a day, for a couple of days. They get really intrigued. They maybe dabble in for a week, maybe a month, and somehow it gets put to the wayside. So they've heard about mindset, yet what happens to most individuals, most entrepreneurs, is that they very much get lost in all the tasks and all the stuff that is required to be done in their business, in their life. And the first U of the triple U syndrome is underrated. I truly believe that mindset really and truly gets super, super underrated. I believe nowadays, I've been dabbling in personal development for over 20 years now, that your mindset is your superpower. It is your superpower. And it's everybody has access to that superpower if they truly want it. Yet it gets underrated. Now, not on top of that, on top of getting underrated, it gets underestimated. That's the second U of the triple U syndrome. So what happens is, like I said, they dabble for a little while in mindset, but then again, get lost in all of the other things that are required of their business, of their life. And just like, purchasing a book, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Jeff. Have you ever, and for the listeners, have you ever purchased a book and then didn't read it and just left it there on the shelf?
Yep.
Now, this is the same thing. People it gets put on the back burner. Mindset, it intrigues someone, but for some reason they go, you know what, I'll look into it. But right now, this is more important. This is more important. This is more important. I got to take care of this. I got to take care of this. And it gets put on the back burner. No different than that book that you purchased and left on the shelf. The only thing that you have to do is pull that book off the shelf and start reading it. And the same thing with mindset. All you have to do is give it the time of day to begin to learn about it. And it's not rocket science. I can promise you that if it was rocket science, I would not be speaking to you here about it. I promise you that. So that's the second U. And because it's underrated, because it's underestimated, it gets underutilized. And that's the third U of the triple U syndrome. So it gets underrated, underestimated, and because of that, it gets underutilized. Now, for those listening, for those watching, you know what? I want to let you off the hook. And why do I want to let you off the hook? Because this is happening simply because you still do not have a strong enough belief in mindset. Trust me, if you knew for certain, if you knew 100% that mindset was your superpower, that it was the key to every single result and experience you are having in your life, you would give it the dedication that it truly deserves. And this is why beliefs are so powerful, because if your belief was strong enough in that, I can promise you would start to delve into it. And then these beliefs begin to tie into your thoughts. And again, all of these beliefs are having an effect on all the results and the experiences in your life. So when someone talks to me about mindset, coming right to your question about, I think it's woo woo, and I think it's, I'm strong enough, and all that matters are all the tasks that I'm doing. I'm not going to take that away from anybody, in all honesty.
Right.
That's what they want to believe. I'm not going to take their belief away from them. If there's one thing that I learned many years ago when it comes to coaching and consulting, is that I have no right to help someone, to assist someone, unless they've actually asked me. Now, if they ask me and they want to dabble into it a little more, I'd say, hey, listen, let me start to explain to you what I'm talking about here, and how, the thoughts that you're having are having an effect on every single result and experience. And those thoughts are tied in with your beliefs. Where are those beliefs coming from? And then we start to dabble, and we start to delve even further and deeper. And in fact, that's what it's all about, is about going inside. And that's why it's the inside lane, which, believe it or not, one of the things that's so vital with entrepreneurs, especially with entrepreneurs, that I find, is that one of the first things I need to tell them is you actually have to slow down first.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many entrepreneurs are going down going down a rabbit hole where they're going so fast, and they're constantly thinking about, the tasks that we need to be done tomorrow, what I didn't complete today, and all of these things, and getting lost so far in the future. And there is a place for that, yet forgetting where they are right now in the present moment, and taking the time and the space to slow down their thinking. And this is where inspiration begins to happen, when they actually slow themselves down.
Lot to unpack there. I'm going to start with first. I love the triple U way of thinking about mindset, and here's why I like it: because underrated. Is this an underrated skill that I'm using? Am I underestimating the power of this? And am I ultimately underutilizing some benefits that I've seen? I love how you've put that together, because I think that can help a lot of people throughout their day, right? Like they can take those moments throughout the day that they have, or they might have time, or where they might think, maybe it's a good time to pause and think about my response to this problem, or my response to this opportunity. And they can dovetail in those three different U's, those three different really modalities of thinking about mindset. I love the questions behind there. Is this underrated? Is this underestimated? And is this underutilized? The taking time to slow down things really kind of at the forefront of my thoughts as of late, around a number of projects that I'm working on. One of which I've teamed up with a friend of mine who has a coaching group. I do coaching, really more consulting, but it's in a unique way where it's more personal. It's very connected. It's a deep relationship where we're expanding the business exponentially over a course of number of years to a defined milestone or a defined goal of a sale or taking on equity. And so that's a real tight relationship. I don't have a lot of time for many of those relationships, but I also bypass opportunity, because not everybody that comes into my world is a fit for the way I do consulting. So
Absolutely.
I've always passed that through. And I've said to myself, maybe there needs to be something that I can help people with, so when they do come into my world, I can have an answer. And so just asking that question, that slowing down, that opportunity actually presented itself for my now partner, Bat Rhoda, and I'm helping to lead his Battlefield Alliance coaching group. So now there's a place they can go, and with a team there and me helping to lead that in the way that I'm committed there, I can now point people there. So it really just took that time for me to slow down and think, is there opportunity for me to point folks to where they're, as you said, I like how you also said, I don't go and give help or give advice if it hasn't been asked for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And
So I've
I
had
think
people
what,
come in. Yeah, I've had people come in and they're like, in a way they're asking for that help, but I've never had that direction to point them in. So that taking time to slow down and think, I think is really important because we're a connected, super busy world. And I think people forget that it is okay to unplug. It is okay to decompress in the day. It is okay to like turn off the alerts on your phone. I drive the people
yeah.
I'm partnered with crazy because I don't have alerts on my phone.
So
I,
likewise,
I
I
right.
agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
That
So
and what I like to add
add
here,
on what I
Ken.
shared there. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'd like to add here is because I like what you're saying and about taking the time to pause, and I think this is very interesting as well. So you framed it as taking the time to pause and think. So taking time to think, and I'm going to take it a bit further. And the reason I want an individual many times to slow down is actually to slow down their thinking or actually to pause their thinking as much as possible. Why am I saying this? Because it's in those moments when you actually pause where you are creating space. Because if you like to think of it like this, that every single thought, every idea, inspiration, it's floating around you. And if you can imagine, the more you're thinking, and you're constantly thinking and you're going really fast, the less space you have to receive those thoughts, those ideas, those inspirations. So when you actually pause and you slow down your thinking, what it does is it creates a little space so that you can actually receive that inspiration. I like to give the example that many people, find that they get this great idea or the solution to a problem after a long day and they happen to be in the shower, just taking a shower. So what happened? They actually slowed themselves down enough. They were
Right.
just focused on having that shower and not thinking about, what they need to do tomorrow and what they didn't accomplish today or anything like that, and left enough space to actually
Yeah.
receive inspiration, to receive an idea, to receive a solution. No different than, the beauty of music, not that I'm a musical person or anything like that, yet the beauty of music is in between the notes, is in the pauses of the notes. Without those pauses in between notes, you wouldn't have the melody, you wouldn't have the music. And it's the same thing, leaving that space, enough slow time. And why is this so crucial? Because I'm all about people, I love simple. I honestly love simple. I love easy. And business, for me, business is about when business is successful for me when it's flowing. I've gotten to the point where I got tired of hearing, and this happens still in the entrepreneurial world, and it has its place. I understand that, but I yet at the same time I've gotten tired of listening to, if you want to be an entrepreneur, be prepared to struggle, be prepared to suffer, be prepared to be stressed
Yeah.
out, be prepared never to have time for anything but your business. I get it. I get it in your business. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I've had my ups, my downs, great times, challenging moments. Yet if you have a firm belief that you're going to enter that world, that it's going to be all of those things, stress, struggle, sacrifice, all of those things, that's exactly what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to flip it and I like to say, but wait a minute, what if my business could be fun?
Right.
What if I could enjoy what I'm doing? What if it could be impactful? What if it could be inspirational? What if I could, have joy, in my business? Does that mean that I'm not going to have my challenges? Does that mean that anybody listening here or watching you're not going to have your challenges? Absolutely, you're going to have your challenges. Yet, if you can find the joy in that, that's going to be your growth spurt. That's where you are actually going to grow and become this individual who now understands how to respond to, situations that just like what happened to you today with the flooding. Like you could react and you could be totally thrown off your game. You could, and most people will do this. This is what a lot of individuals do not understand as well, is that there's a huge difference between thinking and reacting. Many people will react for the most part, meaning in any given certain circumstance that they're in, they're going to react in a certain way because that's what they've learned. So I like to give the example. There are some people, when they get angry, they start yelling. That's a reaction. That's what they've learned. They haven't taken the time to think and actually say, could I respond to this in a different way rather than react?
Yeah.
And when you start to think, you start to respond potentially in a different way so that you can get a different result.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be 100% transparent here. When my son flooded the first floor, I did holler because, it was my initial reaction, but then I did slow that down because I realized that's not productive. But the reason I'm most upset right now is because I'm unable to help with any of what's going to need to be done, given I've got my knee replaced and I'm rehabbing that. And actually this week I was instructed to stay off of it, less weight bearing. So couldn't have come at a worse time. But once I explained to my sons, hey guys, this is really bad. I mean, I'm in the basement, like just, oh my gosh, because I'm seeing what's happening. And I know the damage is the water, and I know where it goes, and I know all it touches. And this is not as simple as, well, we've mopped it up with all the towels and things we could grab. We're just going to have to do laundry for days on end. It is not that. It's going to be so much more. And my sons just didn't realize that. And once I explained to them, hey, and now they're seeing it. And my oldest son is, I've said, listen, at this point forward, I said to him Sunday night, I said, at this point forward, all we're going to do about this is joke about this situation. We're going to poke fun at each other. We're going to laugh because the water spilled. It's done. No more damage is going to be done. We're going to have to fix what we have to fix. And that's that. But now you know why I was so intense in that moment, because I was realizing the great impact it's going to have. And, it's mostly, I feel terrible for my wife because she's taking care of me. She's got some of her own health issues. She runs our house as normal. And now this.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about it as well, though.
Yeah.
This is the cool thing about it as well. And I think this is really important for people to understand as well, is that we are having, we're having our experiences, and your responses and your reactions and all that, that's going to potentially have an effect on the people around you. Not only that,
right.
We talk about, things happening to you, this potentially is a phenomenal lesson for your kids. Mm-hmm. As well as for yourself, right? They could see their dad and how he responded to something, and how he turned something, potentially really like big into something that we can now laugh about. And I love to say this as well, like I agree with you 100%. 6 months down the road, a year, month down the road, 3 years down the road, you're going to be looking at this event and truly laughing at it. And this happens to so many people. So I like to say to them, so why wait? You might as well start laughing now, right? Why wait? Why wait? Yep. You're going to be laughing about it in a couple of months' time, in a couple of years' time, whatever it is. Why wait? You might as well laugh about it now, and looking at it and, okay, how are we going to move forward? Because ultimately, that's what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. That statement of why wait? Let's laugh now actually dovetails into something that I want you to unpeel a little more. So, in my schedule, in my life, I'm big on creating that space, creating that time schedule, that life schedule, that balance, whatever you want to call it. I orchestrate and like overmanage my time. So a lot of folks think that Jeff sleeps in late because I don't start answering emails until about 10 o'clock. They think I knock off early because I don't return emails much after 4 or 5. There's a lot of things orchestrated in my day that fit within those time ranges. What I'm doing when I get up in the morning, it's me time. It's reading, it's reflecting. I actually have a habit where I read things pre-printing press, because think about those words and those stories and those lessons. They were so valuable as the village and the castles were being raided. The scribes and the priests went to the catacombs and grabbed that stuff and took it. It was that valuable. So that's one little tweak that I share with people. I'm scheming, I'm thinking, and that's all that you referred to it. That idea comes like a lightning bolt to the forehead in the shower. We'll just create more of those shower times, just figuratively shower time.
Yeah.
You know, I orchestrate throughout the summer going to my campsite. It's an amazing place. And I invite people up, and we jam out on business and life and family and goals. I create that space, and I really work hard to not let things come into it. You know, vendors in my one retail business want to see me on a Tuesday. You can go on Tuesday. I won't be there. I'll be there Monday. I'll be there Thursday. So if it's important to you and I'm important, you'll make it work. And I'm rigid. And I've shared with people, like, one. I'll share this lesson, and then I'll have you pick it up. I had a realtor friend of mine, and they were really struggling in their career. They felt like they're pouring themselves into their career, answering calls at 9, 10, 1 a.m. in the morning, phone calls. I said, wait, stop all that. I want you to assess all those times that you gave, all those moments you missed your children in choir and in sports, all those things you stayed home and the family went and did. Did you sell one house as a result of those efforts? And the answer was maybe a couple over the years. I said, so if you just dropped those couple sales over the years, is your career any different? No. Well, then just stop those actions and start to manage your time better. So I'll let you pick it up from there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. I love what you're saying about ultimately what you're doing, Jeff. And I think this is important for any entrepreneur to understand is you have the power. You have the power to design your lifestyle. You can have the power to design your business around the lifestyle that you want to live. You can decide on the hours that you want to work. You can decide on what days you want to take off, what days you want to work. Even myself, like my schedule is a little unorthodox, if you want to call it. Many times on a Tuesday, like today, many times is a day off for me. Whereas on a Sunday, potentially I might do some work on a Sunday where most people it's, on a Friday, I might decide to take it a little easier. It's just, I'm designing it the way I want. And also, and this ties in very nicely with mindset as well, is that I'm making that decision. I am deciding that. I am setting that intention to do it like that. And the thing is this with like these people that you were mentioning with regards to their business and their real estate and answering these calls at any given hours and all of these things, this is part of, again, what has been ingrained in so many entrepreneurs is that, and again, it's something that we hear over and over, and I'm not going to deny it either, is that you can attend any entrepreneurial event, you can read books, listen to podcasts, and we hear over and over, you need to be taking action. You need to be taking, not only do you need to be taking action, you need to be taking massive action. And I am not denying that you don't need to be taking action. Yet what I have discovered over the years, coming back to what we were talking about before, is that there is a significant difference between taking action and taking inspired action. And when I receive inspiration to take action and I'm inspired to give a phone call to someone, I'm now making a phone call to one person who's potentially going to lead to business, for example, rather than having to make 50 phone calls to finally get to that person. Because I received that information, I received that inspiration, and that makes us more efficient, which helps us with our time, so that now we can actually spend less time in our business and still generate the amount of business that we want to generate. It's amazing how so many entrepreneurs go down this rabbit hole. And again, I say it because that's what they've been taught. That they've been taught. Action, your time, the more time you spend in your business, the more money you're going to make. Well, that's just a fallacy. Because if that was the case, that would mean that the amount of money, that the income that you can earn is limited because time is limited. So it doesn't mean, and there are tons of people who are not spending huge amounts of time in their business, yet are still making huge amounts of money. And it ties in very nicely what you're talking about as well, is that, if you want to be all-rounded success, if you want to call it, there's more to your life than your business. What happens to so many entrepreneurs is their identity has gotten so caught up in their business And this is why they want to spend so much time in their business, because their whole identity is wrapped around it. So the minute they're not doing their business, somehow they feel lost.
Yeah, there's a
They
void.
feel like, I don't know who I am. If I'm not doing my business, who am I? Right. So they get lost in that. And this is very significant, because we can talk about, and when it comes to the inner work, we're not talking about, that money is the most important thing or the least important thing. Money has its importance. And then there are many other things. Our families have importance, our relationships, our spirituality, our health. What's the sense of me building a great business that's successful in terms of financial terms, yet, my relationships are being destroyed. My health is, shot, and then at some point in time, you realize, holy man, is this all worth it? Just like when you said to them, like, has it been worth it so far? And getting caught up in that identity. And what I like to mention about that, to tie that in, is to me, this is really, really crucial, because there's nothing wrong in spending time in your business. There's nothing wrong in achieving huge financial success. There's nothing wrong in having everything that you want to have that's, let's say, material. There's nothing wrong in that at all. Far from it. The challenge is the attachment to it. If you are so attached to it, this is where trouble can begin. Because in any given day, I mean, let's face it, in any given day, not that I would wish this on anybody, in any given day, your business could be taken away from you for some reason. Some circumstance happened and business is gone.
I'll just add right now and let you continue. If you're refuting that right now, look back to the spring of 2020.
There you go.
The whole world had it all taken away.
Exactly.
So I'll let you continue.
And amazingly, many people during that time realized, hey, I really don't need to be attached to those things. Some of them had epiphanies and said, man, I was really attached to that. And you know what? I can actually survive by not going into the office. I could actually do something, and they realized that. So at any given time, and when I say attach, and this is to anything, and this is a hard pill to swallow for many people, because I say that includes your relationships. So if that includes with your kid, you can be attached to your kids. Yeah, at the same time, your kids, your partner, I know I'm deviating a tiny bit here, they're not the ones that are making you happy. You could think that, but if you're doing that, then your happiness, if you want to call it that, your success is reliant on them. Right. And that's a heavy burden for them to carry as well. So for me to 100%. Look at my partner and say, listen, for me to be happy, you know what? That depends on you. That's a heavy burden for anybody to carry. So
especially if they haven't figured out happiness for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Because who's helping them with that? Because they're helping you.
Yeah. So by me letting that go and learning not to be attached to that, now my whole success doesn't revolve just around that. And I also have, I have a wider, my identity is not just stuck with my business. Now, like I said, there are going to be times in your life when you're going to be spending 80% of your time in your business. I get that. It does fluctuate. If people want to talk about balance, balance isn't, if there's 5 major areas of your life, it's not a matter of having 20% of each of them or dedicating 20% of time to each of them all the time. No, it fluctuates. There's going to be a time when you're going to be spending a little more time in your business. There's going to be a time when you need to be spending a little more time in your relationships. There's going to be a time when you realize, man, I haven't been taking care of my health. I need to really shift and give some more dedication to my health. And then you find that balance. Yet, it's an amazing thing, this thing with this attachment. Once you can do that, it is a weight off many people's shoulders.
Yeah. And that's really, to me, the definition, and we're going to dig into this topic and then we'll land the airplane on this episode, so to say. To me, the true definition and the true success benchmark of an entrepreneur is being able to do those things that you just shared. shifting the buckets of time and commitment to family, to work, to new ideas, to systems so you don't have problems. To me, that's really the true definition of an entrepreneur. I share with people, when things are balanced, if you look at a scale, that old school brass scale that all the lawyers have in their logo, when those two pedestals are equal, what's that dial read? It reads 0. Why do you want 0 of anything? I don't want 0 of anything. I want all of everything that I can get. Now, some of those things I'm willing to sacrifice. Some things, if you're going to be that person that's going to go and fly into your business every week for 2 years straight, because down the road, you've got this massive goal you want to hit and everybody around you's on board with that, go do it. But just commit to it, that inspired action. But, being an entrepreneur means you overmanage the result and the time that you want for the things that are important to you. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. And if I may add as well, when it goes to going for that goal, and again, this is where I think a lot of people get caught up as well, because I'm going to mention about the attachment as well. So why would I want you to be detached from that goal? Let me tell you why. Because that goal will arrive and it's wonderful to move towards. Yet that is, if you are determined that you will only be satisfied once you reach that goal, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment, because you will reach that goal and then you'll go, now what?
Right.
And if in between, this is the part where the detachment comes, because if in between from here going to the goal, you are going to be dissatisfied, first of all, you're going to be pushing your goal further away, because you can't live a dissatisfied journey and expect a satisfied result. You want to live a joyous journey. You want to live a joyous journey to then have a joyous result. Yet at the same time, this is where the detachment comes. At the same time, I am satisfied where I am right now. I'm satisfied where I am right now. And at the same time, I'm looking forward to, I'm eager for more. So now, as much as of a cliche as this is, and this is what I love to talk about in the Inside Lane program, as much as of a cliche as this is, it's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's about, I heard a number of years ago, I heard Eckhart Tolle speaking, and he said something that I thought was so powerful that it stuck with me. And it's this, because so many people are saying they're searching for their purpose in life. They're searching for their purpose and they want to discover their purpose. And that's wonderful. I get it. Yet nowadays, the way I look at it is this. Right now, I'm having this conversation with you, Jeff, and with the listeners and the watchers and the people watching here. And right now, that is my purpose in life. When we finish here and I move on to my next task, that will now be my purpose in life. And then when I'm home with the kids, for instance, now that is my purpose in life. And I'm fully present in that moment, there and then. And I move from one purpose to the other. And then slowly but surely, your bigger purpose, let's say in life, it will begin to unfold for you. Trusting that it's all working out for you.
I love it. I'm going to repeat what you said. You can't hit a satisfied goal with a dissatisfied journey. I love that. Just absolutely love it. People who watch my show, they'll see me at times doing this motion as my guests are talking. I'm not multitasking. I'm in the moment, but I'm being a little efficient and I'm jotting down those salient points, those really poignant moments. And that right there, it's going to be one of my shorter shows, because typically we go a little hour. I'm feeling the need today, so we're going to look to wrap it up here. But man, I have 2 pages, and I've never hit 2 pages. So Ken, thank you for that.
My absolute pleasure.
You mentioned your Inside Lane program. Where do people go to get that?
Well, if they want to know more about the Inside Lane program, they can hop on over to thesuccessfulentrepreneur.now.com. They're seeing it on the screen right now, actually. That's right. And they have the option there to watch a free webinar there where I delve into some details about the program. They can watch that, or they can actually read as well. That's, people have different preferences there. As you can see, that what's being shown there, I'm all about having fun, enjoying your business, keeping things simple. And from there, they can see if it's a match for them. I'm not going to be, there is an offer there for people, yet they don't purchase there or anything like that. They can, from there, they can apply. They can apply to see whether or not to have a call so that I can see whether or not it is a match, because not everyone's going to be a match for the program. Yet that's the best place for them to go right now for this.
Yeah. And I'll just touch on that, what Ken said about applying and being a match and getting on a call. You might think as a listener or watcher that that's a tactic, right? Just to scoop up a whole bunch of people and build an email list and then hammer your inbox. And listen, Ken's a smart gentleman. I'm sure if you get on his email list, he'll send you great information. I do the same. I've been doing the Big Ticket Life Show now as my media to put my brilliance out there, my skills out there, how I can help businesses. And I'll be transparent. I have 2 relationships as a result of it. But I shared that my consulting work's very intentional for specific reasons, and it's very unique. And that's what I've got. And I've had those calls. Every show ends with asking people if they want to get one of those calls. And I don't go and pound your email inbox because it's just not my end game. If I would do that, I'd have a dissatisfying journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And as I can speak to as someone, my apologies if I interrupted.
Sorry.
So that's something that, again, throughout my journey, I've been in sales and all of that, and throughout the journey, and I've just come to the realization now more than ever that, I offer the information. I will do my utmost to offer good value to people, even, a lot of times for free. They can listen, and if something resonates with you, then say, you know what? Yeah, I wanna check this guy out. I wanna have a chat with him, and it might resonate with you. It might not resonate with you. If it doesn't, that's okay. You'll find someone else who will resonate with you. And that's fine. And I find that these people who decide then for themselves to come on board, they're going to be more committed people. They're going to be, and nothing was forced. And I want people ultimately, one of my goals in life, Jeff, is to, whenever I have a conversation with someone, I want them to walk away feeling better about themselves than they did before we had the conversation. Yeah. And if I can accomplish that, that's fantastic.
Well, I'm positive you do that. So if you want to connect with Ken, you go to thesuccessfulentrepreneur.now.com. We've had that on the screen. We've been showing some of Ken's sites on the screen. One of my friends and fans, and I'll just shout out now somebody who I'm super proud of, Jonna Hoover Green. She's a local business owner, local to me in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area. And this is, Ken, you would love Jonna, because this is a woman who built her career in Edward Jones finance from scratch, did it the hard way, the exact way the plan subscribes. And it was that commitment. Mm-hmm. And yet she still balanced it out with family and with joy and with connection. Every time I see a guest on my other show, Jonna knows that guest. She did all this stuff. She pulled from these buckets at this point and set these other ones aside. I'm positive of it, because Edward Jones just doesn't give an office to anybody. They have to follow the plan. And she went and built. And I'm positive there are slight moments along that way that were a little dissatisfying, but overall satisfying journey. And man, she hit that goal. And I the day she said it, I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
I'm seeing her comment here, which says same with parenting. I'm not sure what she's referring to there. Yet
that was back a few minutes back, but
I'm thinking that potentially she's thinking she might be referring to, having the joy in the parenting. I think many times what happens as parents, and I've been there, done that, where, we get so lost in the tasks again that we need to be doing this and we need to that, and forgetting that, to be joyful in that moment with your children, with your parenting, enjoying that very moment with your kids when you're with them, and so many parents find themselves many years down the road going, oh, I wish they were still young and I could have done this and I could have done this, rather than reminding themselves now when they're young, hey, listen, let's do this. Let's enjoy this moment, whatever it is, with its challenges. I mean, parenting is not is something that, you learn as you go along.
That's right. Yeah. Despite there being many parenting guidebooks, there's not a parenting guidebook for you and your child and your situations, So anyway,
absolutely.
I'm just going to repeat what you said a few minutes back to remind everybody watching and listening. You cannot hit that satisfying goal if you have a dissatisfactory and unsatisfying journey. That was just brilliant. It was worth the price of admission. If you were asked for a price for admission today, it would have been worth it. But Ken, thank you for your time today.
My absolute
pleasure. If you
pleasure.
want to connect with Ken, again, we go to thesuccessfulentrepreneur.now.com. Please check out what Ken has there for you. And if you're so inspired and called to, reach out to him. I'm sure you'll have a great call. As he said, his goal is just to make you a better person when you hang up than when you started, and then you go from there. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Big Ticket Life. I enjoyed it so much, and I hope you do too. Have a wonderful day and take care. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of The Big Ticket Life. You've heard from another amazing guest living their own big ticket life, and now it's time to live yours. First, I'd love for you to take me up on my free gift to you. Claim your gift at gift.thebigticketlife.live. That's gift.thebigticketlife.live. See, all your life you've been told what is and what isn't possible by the loudest voices from the cheapest seats. It's time to finally do life and business on your terms. Sure, you've heard similar things, but without clarity on what can be done, it's easy to have your customers, employees, maybe even partners, and your spouse keep you from truly living a big ticket life. My big ticket methods shift you into that investor seat in your business, away from commodity and away from competition, into a market of one, so you can finally live your own big ticket life. So my gift to you is for you to book your discovery call today, where we'll uncover first the Chivo behaviors, those chief everything officer behaviors that hold you back, and why moving into the investor seat in your own business is critical. 2, we'll uncover the premium position that's up for grabs right now in your market that you're missing out on. And 3, which big ticket methodologies are just waiting to be dropped into your business to explode your sales and profits. So again, thanks for listening to this episode. I'd love for you to take action right now. Accept this gift, book your call, go to gift.thebigticketlife.live. Again, that's gift.thebigticketlife.live.